Welcome to Comicstorian, where we take some of your favorite trade paperbacks and single issues, or we take the lore to your favorite video game, or the deep dive synopsis of your favorite movie or video game, and break it down into an audio drama, allowing you to catch up on your favorite pop culture element while I pretend I know how to voice act, and you get to go on with your daily life. Today we're going to be covering a comic book that came out recently, which we don't normally do, except with the announcement of Blade. I have found it kind of a problem to find any current Blade storylines. So, today you're getting Wolverine versus Blade. Madripoor, years ago. Two men, the best at what they do, stand back to back. Blade tells Wolverine, "It's good to see you. It's been a while." And Wolverine tells him, "It hasn't been long enough." Blade asks, "Are you still mad about the hypodermic that was stuck in your neck?" Wolverine yells, "It was a hypodermic full of vampire blood!" And Blade tells him, "Didn't really peg you as a guy who held a grudge. But funny, you should mention vampires." And Wolverine tells him, "There ain't nothing funny about this, bub." He swipes his claws, easily cutting a vampire's head into three, and he tells him, "Okay, maybe I lied. This is a little funny." Blade cuts through another asking, "What's a nice guy like you doing in an evil temple anyway?" And Wolverine begins to tell him, "I'm doing some payback. These things killed a friend's daughter and sacrificed her in some sicko ritual." But just as he finishes, one of the vampires swings a sword, cutting off a chunk of Wolverine's shoulder. Blade lobs off another head and tells him, "This vampire cult calls themselves the Creed." As Wolverine's shoulder heals, he tells him, "It doesn't matter, they all cut up the same." He then starts to hack his way through a group of vampires by punching, slicing, and ripping apart each and every one of them until finally, there's none left. Blade asks, "Are you done?" So as Wolverine steps out dripping with the blood of those he just slaughtered, he tells him, "Yeah, just about." And so, that was the end of the vampire cult. Or at least, so the two of them thought. 6 months later, in New York City, Wolverine finds himself fighting against a mutant calling herself the Dragoness. X-Force gave him the details. It seems that she's been killing mutant and human alike. It's anyone's guess why she is in a construction site. As for what happens next, well, he doesn't really have an explanation, except one, which really isn't encouraging. Dragoness fells on a wooden stake and turns into a pile of smoldering ash. That could only mean one thing. Dragoness was turned into a vampire. What's more, there's something hidden here. A chest, one with familiar markings. What did Blade call that cult at the temple 6 months ago? The Creed? Meanwhile, over in Germany, Blade is doing what he does best, killing vampires. But Count Stod is different from the others. He can fire laser beams from his eyes, which, all things considered, isn't very common in the vampire world. However, explosive charges have never failed Blade in the past, so why would they now? As Blade presses down on the button, the Count's castle comes crumbling down on top of him. Stod struggles to free himself from underneath the pile of rubble, shouting, "I will bathe in your blood!" Blade puts on his coat, telling him, "It's not looking too likely. And, you want to talk about why you can shoot freaking lasers from your eyes?" The Count tells him some colorful things, and Blade tells him he didn't expect to get much out of him anyway. But this ink on his cheek looks like the Creed symbol. They were supposed to be wiped out 6 months ago. Stod laughs, telling him, "You wiped out nothing! We knew you were coming, it was foretold!" As the sun rises, it burns Stod. Blade smiles as he walks away, enjoying the sunrise. Back over in New York, Wolverine took the chest to the only man who knows about the strange, Dr. Strange. He looks over the box, telling him, "The magics locking this are vampiric in origin, Logan, and these markings belong to the Creed. The Creed worships someone that they call Variks, their equivalent to a messiah. Prophecy foretells that he will one day unite all vampire houses under his banner." Wolverine says, "Sounds like something we'd want to keep from happening, huh?" Strange goes on, telling him, "It's possible the Dragoness was trying to hide this box, as it may be the vessel to carry out Kandra." So Wolverine asks, "The what?" And Strange opens it up, telling him, "The Kandra, the only means by which Variks can be slain. According to their scripture, Variks cannot be killed except in a manner depicted in the Kandra." The scroll unfurls into an image, and Strange asks if he recognizes anything. Wolverine tells him, "Yeah, it's a picture of me fighting Blade." Later in Belize, Wolverine chops his way through the jungle to find another Creed temple. He never really liked Blade, but it's a little disappointing to find out that he's in bed with the Creed. As Wolverine walks in, Blade looks down, telling him, "It's a little disappointing that my contact said the Creed Messiah was a mutant vampire. Figured to be someone like Beast or Nightcrawler. But Wolverine?" He jumps down from the shadows, and Wolverine spins back, lunging. He blindly swings his arm, leaving him open for Blade to stab his sword right through his chest. Wolverine hunches over, But then he leans back, ripping the sword out of his chest, and Blade tells him, "Well, damn." Wolverine swipes, cutting Blade's face, throwing him back, but as Wolverine rushes forward, Blade throws out 2 special knives. Those knives lodge themselves into Wolverine's chest, and he stops. He pulls them out, asking, "Wait a second. These weapons, it's an anti-vampire glaive. Why are you throwing them at me instead of the vampires?" Blade tells him, "Well, yeah, you're a vamp now." And Wolverine says, "Well, so are you. But, you're not Variks, are you?" And Blade says, "How did you know about that?" Wolverine opens up the scroll stating that this is how the Messiah's last fight was supposed to go down. Blade looks at it and says that neither of them are Variks. This doesn't make any sense. A voice then calls out stating, "Actually, it makes perfect sense. It's all about how you look at it." Both men turn to see a man who looks exactly like Wolverine dressed in armor. And Wolverine says, "Man, our line of work gets weird sometimes, doesn't it?" Blade tells him, "I'm actually curious who your twin is." Wolverine pops his claws, telling him, "I am too. Let's go ask him." Wolverine jumps at Variks, and as Variks pops his bone claws, he says, "Those don't look familiar." Variks then asks, "What? You don't remember the huge chunk of flesh that was cut from your shoulder all those months ago?" Wolverine stabs into him, telling him, "No flaming way. I've left body parts all over the globe. None of them grew back into another me." And Variks tells him, "That's true, but vampire magics were used in this case." Hordes of vampires begin to pour out, taunting Blade, but with one spin of his sword, he quiets them all pretty quickly. Wolverine then calls out, "I have an idea. I need you to take over." Blade turns back, cutting off Variks' claws, and then slams a stake into his chest. His body bursts into flames, but after a short period, he returns smiling. "Don't you remember? I have a healing factor." Variks swings, slicing into Wolverine's face, and Blade then tells him, "That drawing was supposed to tell us how to kill Variks. It isn't a depiction as much as a," Wolverine finishes the sentence, "an instruction manual." The two position themselves exactly the way that they see themselves in the scroll, and they strike down at the same time. Wolverine rips into Variks' stomach while Blade cuts off the head. His body turns to ash, but this time, it doesn't regenerate. Blade tells him the prophecy was good for something, it seems. So Wolverine looks up at the temple and asks, "Do you always carry those things around?" And Blade asks, "What, explosives?" "Yeah, I like to be prepared." He presses the button, and seconds later the entire temple blows up and crumbles to the ground. Wolverine watches the fire, asking, "Hey, did you bring any marshmallows, bub?" And Blade laughs, "Haha, I actually forgot." So Wolverine scoffs, "You flaming amateur." And that brings us to the conclusion of Wolverine vs. Blade, a single storyline that came out conveniently the same week that Marvel was going to announce the Blade movie. So that's pretty cool. But what do you guys think about the Blade movie? Do you like this idea? Do you like the fact that we're getting a Blade movie finally? Do you just want to basically see it now? Because that's definitely what I do. I liked the Wesley Snipes original Blade run myself, but this is cool. I want to see it. And don't worry, we're going to be covering the Vampire Civil War from the Avengers very soon, so make sure you subscribe to our channel so you know that that's coming out, and I'll see you next time right here.